Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle a really radical idea. What if our entire economic system is just a reflection of our inner state of mind? We're going to dive into a source that makes this incredible link between consumerism and consciousness, and it asks a pretty powerful question. Can we actually change the world by changing ourselves?
All right, so let's start with this idea, right? We are just passing through. If you really let that sink in, it kind of makes you look at things differently, doesn't it? So with that quote in our minds, let's take a good, hard look at the economic world we've actually built for ourselves during our short visit here.
So where does our source begin? Well, it essentially puts our modern world right under the microscope. And the diagnosis? We've built what it calls a throwaway society, based on a very specific and maybe very flawed economic model.
You know, we all have a pretty basic idea of what economics is, right? It's about making stuff, selling stuff, buying stuff. Seems simple enough. But the source we're looking at today argues that our whole take on it has led to some pretty serious and maybe unexpected problems. I mean, think about it. From the moment we're kids, we're basically told that getting more stuff will make us happy. But that happiness, it's so temporary, isn't it? You get that dream car you've always wanted, and for a minute, it's amazing. But then, it just becomes a car. A car that needs gas and insurance, and suddenly it's more of a hassle than a joy. That initial thrill just fades.
And this is where things get really interesting. I mean, think back to stuff your grandparents owned. A toaster, a vacuum cleaner. Those things were built to last like 50 years. But today, we have something called planned obsolescence. That means things are literally designed to break down or go out of style, forcing us to buy the next new thing. We've totally flipped from a repair-it culture to an upgraded culture.
And it's not just about things breaking. We've become what the source calls a throwaway society. I mean, how many times have you seen someone renovate a kitchen and rip out perfectly good cabinets just because they're not the latest style? It's wild. Waste isn't just an accident anymore. It's a core part of how our economy actually works.
Okay, so what are the actual consequences of this? What's the real cost of living in this throwaway world? Well, when you start to look at the numbers, things get pretty serious fast.
Okay, look at this number, 1.77. This might just be one of the most important numbers you'll see today. What is it? It's how many Earths we would need to sustain our current lifestyle, to provide all the resources we use and absorb all the waste we create. The problem is, we only have one.
And this quote, man, it just sums it up so perfectly. We are sawing off the branch we are sitting on. It gets right to the core of the issue, doesn't it? Our whole economic system is basically undermining the very planet it depends on to exist.
And the fallout from this isn't just environmental. It's everywhere. You've got staggering economic inequality. I mean, the 3 richest billionaires in the US owning more than the bottom half of the entire population. You've got rainforests vanishing, oceans choking on plastic. We're overusing our planet's resources by 70%. And with the number of consumers set to explode by 2030, this whole model, it's just not built to last.
And this is where the logic of the system gets really twisted. To make the point, the source pulls this quote from an executive who basically said the goal isn't to cure people, the goal is to make profits for the shareholders. When profit is the only thing that matters, you can end up with goals that are totally at odds with, helping people.
Okay, so that's a pretty bleak picture. But what if there's another way? What if there's a different worldview entirely? This is where the source introduces a really powerful counter-narrative, one that comes from indigenous wisdom.
And just to really drive home how different this other worldview is, the source gives us one more honestly kind of shocking example from our current system. A report from Goldman Sachs literally questioned whether curing patients is a sustainable business model. Why? Because if you cure someone, they stop being a source of recurring revenue. Think about that.
Now, hold that thought in your head and listen to this. This is an indigenous perspective from Juan Matus. You don't use and squeeze people until they have shriveled to nothing, especially the people you love. The contrast is just, wow. It's a worldview built on care and respect, not just extraction.
And it goes even deeper. This Aboriginal worldview sees the land as a mother. Not a resource to be owned and sold,
but a living relative that protects you, provides for you, a mother. It's a completely different foundation for an economic and social system.
So let's break it down. What's the real difference here? Well, our model, the consumer model, is all about rights. What can I take? What am I entitled to? But this other way, the custodian model, it's all about duty. What must I protect? What is my responsibility? It flips the entire script from seeing the earth as a resource to seeing it as a relative.
Okay, so we have these two completely different ways of seeing the world. How on earth do you bridge a gap that wide? Well, the source suggests the answer isn't out there, it's in here. It's an inner journey. And to explain it, it uses a really cool modern metaphor for a very ancient idea.
Okay, first things first. To change anything, you have to be conscious. And that doesn't just mean not being asleep. It means being truly aware, having a degree of controlled thought and observation about what's going on inside you, the programming that's running the show.
And here's the catch. Most of our behavior, like 95% of it, is driven by our subconscious. And if that subconscious has been programmed over the years with anger, with intolerance, with all this other negative stuff, well, our actions are going to reflect that. The source says it's like we're ships without a rudder, just getting tossed around by the waves of life, reacting instead of choosing.
So how do you install a rudder? How do you take control of the ship? The source points us to the ancient wisdom of Jainism, but it frames it in this really brilliant way, as a kind of cosmic video game. There are literal levels you can work through to upgrade your consciousness, moving from a wrong believer all the way up to omniscience.
And what's the objective of this video game? It's simple, really. The goal is to become more like the universe itself, kind, compassionate, non-judgmental. Every single moment becomes a choice point. You can either react unconsciously based on that old programming, that's a strike, or you can pause and choose to respond with awareness and kindness. That's a home run. That's how you win the game.
But here's the thing. This isn't just about personal development. This isn't just some self-help exercise. The source makes a really bold claim here, that this inner shift, this is the key. This is how we actually recalibrate our entire society.
So, what does it mean to recalibrate? It means consciously shifting your awareness, moment by moment. It means going from being reactive, just letting your old programming run the show, to being proactive. It's about taking that raw, destructive energy of, say, anger or greed, and consciously transforming it into something positive, like patience or love. It's a constant, ongoing process of tuning yourself.
And so, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one question. It's the choice the source leaves us with. Are we going to be consumers, or are we going to be custodians? It's a choice that starts inside every single one of us, but its consequences will shape the future for all of us. The real question is, what will you choose?